Okay, so I've read a lot of books this year. In this video, I'm going to break down the very best I've read so far. I'm going to be talking about all sorts of books from nonfiction to fiction and giving you some recommendations based upon what I've read. So without further ado, let's jump right into this video. First book I want to talk about here is Barbarian Days. So Barbarian Days is the type of memoir that I love, and I'm not someone who generally loves all sorts of memoirs, but I love memoirs about weirdos, obsessive weirdos, in niche subjects. So for example, one of my favorite books of all time is the Open memoir by Andre Agassi, a tennis player. It's all about his experience in the world of tennis and his experience reaching the top of the game and sort of everything that unwinds from that, him getting addicted to crystal meth and everything else about that. This book is a little bit similar. It's about a surfer who goes around the world in desperate pursuit in his early 20s and into his early 30s, looking for the next best wave, and the obsessive culture and making ends meet as a surfer, as somebody who is in a constant pursuit of something. He's just this artistic dude walking around in the 70s, around Europe, around Eastern Asia, looking for the next big wave. It introduced me to a lot of surfing culture. It was a very introspective book about how this guy was kind of like a jerk in his early 20s and how he grew into an adult who was a little bit less of a jerk. And I just enjoy diving into these weird worlds. And surfing is a world I knew nothing about. I had no relationship to it. So I was excited to dive into that world. Definitely worth checking out if you are somebody who likes these sort of niche, weird subjects. A great memoir, a great audiobook as well. I listened to part of the audiobook after I read the book itself. Also moves pretty well. Now, I don't know if it lasts because I think it's a longer audiobook, but the book itself is phenomenal if you're looking to check it out. Next up, London Falling by Patrick Radden Keefe. Another nonfiction book here. It is a book about a British family whose son was putting himself off as a son of a Russian oligarch and ultimately fell in with some bad people and may have jumped / been pushed off of a balcony into the Thames River and died in London. This guy was essentially a little more than a teenager and was not being truthful about his identity. He was running around with some bad folks, trying to project himself to be this Russian oligarch, and his family trying to put together the pieces of what happened to him, trying to figure out how this could have happened, how their son could have gotten wrapped up with these bad, nefarious characters, and the mystery of it all. Patrick Radden Keefe is, to me, the best nonfiction narrative writer working. His earlier book, Say Nothing, is one of my favorite books of all time. It's about the Troubles. It's phenomenal as well. This book is just as good. Maybe it doesn't reach the heights of Say Nothing because the ending's sort of more tidy in that book, and this doesn't really have quite the resolution maybe you're hoping for, but it is a phenomenal read. It reads like a thriller, like a novel. It is such a propulsive, compelling read that you need to check it out if you're somebody who's even a little bit interested in the subject matter. Next up, Everything is Tuberculosis by John Green. John Green, the YouTuber, the novelist. This guy writes a book now about the sociological impact of tuberculosis, a disease that most people in the Western world, myself included, largely believed was gone, was eradicated, and the sociological impact that it's still having around the world, and the access to healthcare, and the way that the Western world is sort of protected from what a disease that is currently still decimating areas all over the world in less developed countries. And he goes into wards of tuberculosis patients who have essentially been excommunicated from their families, from their communities, and what a diagnosis of tuberculosis can still mean for somebody, and what the social implications of that are, and how this disease still breaks down people's bodies in the year 2025. Amazing, very human, and just very compelling, very moving at times. So well worth checking out. Next up, Dungeon Crawler Carl. This is a book I see recommended all the time here, and with good reason. It reads a lot like a video game. I think that Dungeon Crawler Carl gets hyped up a little bit because it is definitely the best of this lit RPG genre, which is a genre of sort of flash fiction based upon video games and fantasy elements, and that's typically told in like more conventional serials where you're getting like a little chapter a week or a chapter every month. Dungeon Crawler Carl is like the gold standard of all that. I think it is a fun book series. I don't love it as much as other people love it necessarily, but if you're somebody who's looking to get into reading, it is a great entry point, I think, because it does play off a lot of other genre elements and has a lot of other influences that I think can be a great introductory point to other better works. No offense to Dungeon Crawler Carl. They don't need my backing. They are the guy who makes it. Matt Denman is making more money than God, I would assume, because everyone is buying those books. They're the hottest book on sale right now. If you're somebody who might be into a story about a guy who's pulled into this reality show, intergalactic reality show, where he has to essentially fight other people, other human beings and monsters in this multi-level dungeon, and each book is a different level of the dungeon. Kind of a cool concept, pretty well executed. I enjoyed it for what it is. It's not high literary fiction, but it is a compelling fiction book that you can take to the beach and finish in a day or two. Next up, Rammer Jammer Yellow Hammer This is a book about a journalist who is living in New York City. He's from Alabama. He decides to follow Alabama football around for a season in the late 1990s. He decides to buy an RV to essentially live in RVs and go to all these RV collections every week. Another book, again, about a weird subculture and somebody diving very deep into that subculture. Amazing, phenomenal book. Whether you love football, American football, or not, this gets into the world of it, the weirdness of that world. And that's what I'm really looking for in a lot of these memoirs, a lot of these nonfiction books. I love the weirdness of these subcultures. And this book really hits the weirdness of the subculture of American college football. And in the South especially, where Alabama football is king. It is above everything else. And this journalist is he's really viewing this football not through a judgmental lens. He's somebody who's from that world. He appreciates what Alabama football actually means to these people. And to get to know these people who have mortgaged their future, who've given up everything, sold their house so that they can have a $150,000 RV, so they can form some form of community with these other RV people, is extremely compelling. It's funny at times. It's just a really, really great, fun book and very quick read. So if you are somebody who's into football, into college football, interested in the world, the subculture of college football, Rammer Jammer Yellowhammer is well worth your time. Next up, I'm going to give you Razorblade Tears by S.A. Crosby. This is actually the most recent book I finished. It is a revenge thriller action book, a southern revenge thriller action book by S.A. Crosby, this author who's gotten a lot of heat in the last couple of years in terms of positive heat because people seem to really like his writing, and with good reason. This book's all about two dads, one black, one white, from the South, both of them sort of impoverished, or one of them a former felon, and their sons are a gay couple who is murdered in what appears to be a hate crime. And the two dads sort of band together to try to solve their son's murder and get revenge and seek revenge upon those who hurt their sons. It's a book about fathers and sons, about words left unsaid, about the relationship, the complex relationship between these more traditional conservative types and the new age younger people, and the differences in ideologies and the differences in what's important to them, and what it means to try to speak with your son when you no longer have that chance. Really spoke to me as a young father. Really important sort of messaging here. I think that a lot of this book is punching and action stuff, and it does that really well because you're kind of immediately bought into this. It's like a John Wick kind of book come to life. Really, really great, well-written book, and it moves really quickly. I finished this in like a day or two, and it just was dragging me by the scruff of my neck the entire time. Okay, so to finish off here, I'm gonna recommend two comic books, actually. One of them being Absolute Batman. Absolute Batman is a retelling of this entire line of DC Comics, where Batman is not rich. He is essentially a hulking giant person. All the villains are different as well. Bane is basically like a kaiju level monster. It sounds a little insane and over the top, and it is absolutely insane and over the top. The references, the allusions to like stuff like anime, stuff like kaiju monster storytelling, it's all there. It's great. I love the reimaginings of iconic fictional characters. I love Superior Spider-Man from a few years ago, which was a Marvel story about Spider-Man where Dr. Octopus's consciousness essentially takes over Spider-Man, and he's this brutal killer beast of a Spider-Man. And it's great. It's a really fun, cool run of stories, and Absolute Batman to me is sort of at that level, if not actually maybe better. It's a brutalistic story. Every issue feels like there's a new twist on a convention of the genre, of the character that I've never seen before. And if you're even a little bit into Batman, I think it's well worth checking out. The final comic I'm going to recommend here is actually Absolute Martian Manhunter, which I think may be my favorite comic of the last several years. Martian Manhunter is somebody who actually doesn't mean anything to me. I have no real relationship to him other than the Justice League show from the late 90s, early 2000s. And even then I'm like, you know, he's green, I don't really understand his powers, whatever. This comic book is so good. It has no business being as good as it is. And part of the thing that makes it so good is that the story itself, so the human person of Martian Manhunter is essentially an FBI agent, and this story essentially becomes like a true detective on psychedelics book, and I mean that in the best way possible. It is like a brutalistic story where the man is essentially being haunted by this Martian that is an alternate version of his consciousness, and together the two of them are tasked with rooting out this core evil that is lurking over the town, the area that he is in. And it's all about his own psyche. It's very internalistic. It's like if Rusty Cole was haunted by an alien in True Detective. And it's so good. It's so good. The art is unbelievable. It's the best art I've maybe ever seen in a comic book. It's so fun. It just finished up. I haven't finished up the last couple issues, but I am so all in on this comic. It is one of my most exciting things I've read in the entire year. So I think if you're kind of into comics, maybe you're not somebody who typically does, this is well worth checking out if you're into any of the things that I've already referenced so far. So if you like books, if you like comics, if you like recommendations, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more of those things. Until later, I will talk to you guys soon. Bye now.